Raider Nation, I went to bed last night upset. I woke up this morning frustrated. And the entire week, hell, with the Raiders coming up with a bye, the next 2 weeks, I want you to think of the Raiders Report as that safe space. The spot where you can vent all of your frustrations after a very tough Monday Night Football loss, and then everything else is going to happen. I get it. I'm mad too, and I need you guys to talk with me. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and know that we're going to get through this together. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and it's time for Overreaction Tuesday after the Raiders 30-29 lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. But I couldn't do today's show if it wasn't for our awesome sponsor, Vincero Collective. If you're looking for stylish, handcrafted watches that are also at an affordable price, go to VinceroCollective.com/chat where you can get 20% off and free shipping. I'm going to put this link for y'all down in the comments and in the description of today's video. So what exactly are you going to get? Usually after Sundays, we do Overreaction Monday. Well, this is going to be crazy. After a Monday night game, you got to do Overreaction Tuesday. So for me, I'm finding the top trending topics out there, news, rumors, and giving my spin on it. The top three players that we're talking about today, Josh Jacobs, Josh McDaniels, and we're going to kick the show off here with Davante Adams. And there's already been news out this morning that Davante Adams could be suspended. Should Davante Adams be suspended? To me, it's an overreaction. I get it. There were a lot of emotions last night. And there's a lot of people out there that think that Davante should be suspended. Okay, I don't disagree with some of the people having that idea. To me, though, this is just going a little bit too far. Tom Pelissero this morning, Davante Adams is facing NFL discipline and potentially even a suspension for shoving a man to the ground after Monday night's loss to the Chiefs, per sources. The league is reviewing the situation. Adams apologized through the media and again on Twitter. Now, there's been a lot more to this story, which we got a lot of quotes to go through. We got some other takes here and there. However, I've seen a lot of things happen, man, in the NFL. To me, Davante deserves a fine. A suspension, though, it just seems like a little bit too much. Here's what TMZ had reported, though, this morning, because the person that Davante shoved filed a police report, and it is the photographer shoved to the ground by Davante Adams after the Raiders-Chiefs Monday Night Football game has officially filed a police report against the NFL superstar, claiming he was injured during the incident and had to go to the hospital. The man went to the cops at Arrowhead Stadium at around 10:30 p.m., just moments after Adams had pushed him following the Raiders' 30-29 loss. Authorities tell us the man claimed he was the victim of an assault. They said he was told that he suffered injuries, though they were thought to be non-life-threatening. They added that the man was later transported to the hospital. I get it. This is a very bad look by Davante. There's no other way around it. After the game, he even spoke and said, he apologized. It's a bad look for Adams. It's a bad look, the fact that it happened on Monday night. To me, though, a suspension is wild to me. I can't wrap my mind around a suspension, though. It seems like after watching that game, anything against the Raiders at this point is possible. But what do you all think? Why for yes and for no? Let me know down in the comments. When I started the show off, I said, we're going to vent. And we're going to talk about everything that happened in that game. But this is right now is the top story out there around the Raiders. I mean, think about it. You got a bye week. Imagine after losing that game, you might not have Davante Adams week 7. Yeah, you're going up against the Texans. But as far as I'm concerned, every game is super important. So why for yes and for no, does Davante Adams deserve to be suspended? I'm going to continue to say no. I don't believe that he does. I get it. It was a hostile environment. I mean, if you watch that game, if you've been to any Chiefs-Raiders game, if you've watched any Chiefs-Raiders game in the past, you know that it's going to be hostile. If I'm Davante Adams, though, I'm going to be worried heading into that tunnel. If you looked at that halftime game, the amount of beers that were being thrown at Raiders players is shameful. Then the fact that you see somebody like Jermaine Illuminor, he tweeted this out, crazy game and a crazy atmosphere, but at the end of the day, we're all human. So for the trash fans shouting the N-word as we ran into the tunnel for halftime, does that make you feel good about yourself? Seriously, that shit is weak as F. And it is. It's a weak move by the Chiefs fans. I'll also say Cleveland Ferrell's running into the tunnel. He's kind of pumping it up because the Raiders are up 20-10. I don't know if that would have been the way I would have went. However, it was also been reported that none of the fans were thrown out for throwing the beers, though you can see several Raiders coaches pointing up saying, hey, that's the guy, that's the guy. The cops, the officials were so afraid after the Chris Jones play that all of them were just afraid to do their job. So here's my thing. If you're not going to do your job there, I don't think Davante should be suspended. That's what Adams said, though, after the game. I wanted to say sorry to him for that because that was just frustration mixed with him literally just running in front of me. I should have responded that way, but that's how I initially responded, so I wanted to apologize for him on that. Now, again, there's no real excuse. When you are an NFL player, you're expected to be at a higher standard. Let's face it, if somebody, a cameraman were to push Davante Adams, they're probably never allowed to come back out on the field again. But here's the other situation. I do think him running in front of Adams, when you add on everything else that happened in the atmosphere of that game, players being called the N-word, players having beers thrown at him, he was put in self-defense mode. You add that to frustration, which is where I think that's where we're at now. Now, if anything else happens around that story, I'll keep you guys up to date. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm rocking a pretty awesome Ventura Collective watch right now. And, there's that whole saying, you look good, you feel good. I will admit, I woke up this morning, I was hungover, I barely had a voice, and I was an angry dude. Throwing on the watch today, Alex telling me, babe, you look good, have a good day. You know what? There's a lot of shit that happens. I'm happy that I woke up healthy. I'm happy that I woke up in general, and now I'm rocking an awesome watch here. So promo code chat, 20% off and free shipping. The one that you see on screen is the one that I'm rocking right now. I think personally it looks great with jeans. You can see like that gold tint in there as well if you're rocking maybe some brown shoes, a brown belt. A watch that I always find myself wearing is this one, which I have posted on my Instagram a handful of times. Now, I will say this, Ventura Collective, I want you to listen up because they can only offer this big of a discount for a limited time. So don't wait. It's going to be too late. Get 20% off and free shipping site-wide with code CHAT at VenturoCollective.com. Support our show and use code CHAT at VenturoCollective.com. I guarantee that you will find something that fits your style. Shop Venturo today. Now, we went through a lot of different looks there. They have watches, they have sunglasses, wallets, wristbands. They have, what do you call them? What do they call them? I'm totally drawing a blank. Stuff that you put on your wrist. I can't think of it. Ventura Collective bracelet. That's the word. My God. 20% off and free shipping, though. I promise y'all, you guys are going to look good, and hopefully you feel a little bit better as well. All right, let's go to the next overreaction here after the Raiders loss. The refs cost the Raiders the game. I've been telling myself when I get emotional after games I should stop tweeting, but I'm an emotional person just like a lot of people, and I said that the refs are the reason why the Raiders lost the game. I'm going to step down from that a little bit, and I'm going to give this one 2 just win babies and say, are they the number one reason why the Raiders lost the game? Yes. Are they the only reason why the Raiders lost the game? No. The Silver and Black had other opportunities, but if you watch that game, after that Chris Jones penalty, the next 6 penalties were all against the Raiders, and some of them came in really big situations. I couldn't believe. I even told my dad walking into work today, I can make the argument, if the Chris Jones play doesn't happen, okay, if Derek Carr fumbles, Chiefs get the ball and score, the Raiders actually might have been better off because the amount of other handful of plays that really went against the Raiders in big-time situations might have been more detrimental. So for me, the reasons for the Chiefs' loss, I do think the refs are the biggest reason. That does not mean that they are the only reason. But when you look at the missed calls on Travis Kelce getting held. On Travis Kelce's 4 touchdown, Crosby gets held right in front of the official. Should have never happened. That one to me was as blatant as could be. And the fact, when you get guys like Charles Woodson tweeting about it, yeah, it stands out. The Malcolm Koonce hold on the field goal, 24-23 ball game. You saw how much the media has talked about the Tom Brady call. You've already seen how much they've talked about the Chris Jones call. The Malcolm Koonce hold on the field goal was the worst call that I've seen in the NFL this year. The last time that an NFL player got called for holding on a field goal, you got to go all the way back to 2015, Khalil Mack. Guess what? It was the exact same ref in that situation. The roughing the punter that wasn't called against A.J. Cole. It's textbook stuff. The NFL officials were afraid to say anything against the Raiders because they were worried that the Chiefs would react. And I'm going to make this point. If the NFL can sit up here and do NFL concussion protocols, because the whole thing that happened with Teddy Bridgewater this past week where they said, Bridgewater had a concussion, we just saw. If you're going to have a concussion protocol for NFL quarterbacks, you need to have a protocol for NFL referees that are shitting their pants. And I'm serious, because if you don't think that those players or that game was impacted by the NFL officials, that was the worst officiated game, both sides of the football, that I've seen. And it's because the NFL refs were shitting bricks. If you can be evaluated for a concussion, you should also be evaluated for that, because that NFL officiating crew had no business being on the field after the Chris Jones call. Let's go to number 2 here, why the Raiders lost this game. Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels was great for 58 minutes. I thought he was. I thought McDaniels was great for 58 minutes. Here's the issue, though. When I said you got to have a complete game, you have to have a complete game to beat Kansas City. After that, all the calls, after the missed field goal, the Raiders had their opportunities. I sat up here on the show and I said, you know what? I actually didn't mind the 2-point play. I'll sit up here and say it. Looking back on it now, it's wrong. You didn't get it. You failed. But here's the other thing. McDaniels drew up all these amazing plays. That 4th and 1 play, the first Davante Adams touchdown, great. But in the big moments at the end of the game, they choked. He simply did. He choked it away, man. I mean, when you think about McDaniels now 12-21 as a head coach, Las Vegas is 0-4 this year in one-score games. They were 7-2 last season. Bad head coaches find a way to lose. And if you could take me back full screen real quick, when you think about the fact that if you're going to go on a 2-point conversion where you're 2 yards out, you're going to run it with Jacobs. For me personally, I would have rather of them run out of the I formation or a strong formation, because Jacobs was a lot better when they were running that ball. If it's 3rd and 1, though, and you got 47 seconds left, that timeout that they used before that, a very strange timeout, that didn't make any sense to me. The 3rd and 1 call, if you have the cojones to go for a 2-point conversion 2 yards out, why don't you try to run the ball on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1? Because the way I would view that is either 3rd down, 4th down, 2 plays. Where Jacobs, I think everyone watching the show right now believes that he would have picked up a 1st down if you're looking for 1 yard. So instead of having maybe only 2 plays, you have 3 plays. If I'm McDaniels, I run the ball on 3rd and 1, all right? Adams doesn't get his feet in, 4th and 1. Then you run it there, you run up to the line, you clock it, and then you got to get 15 yards with Daniel Carlson. If it happens, it happens. But to me, McDaniels did so good, but choked when it matters the most. And I've said this before. The sooner the Raiders move on from Josh McDaniels, the better. It's probably not going to happen this season, but I have no faith in him as a man, and I have no faith in him as a head coach. But what do you guys think? Do you believe in Josh McDaniels as the Raiders head coach? Type B for believe or type D for you don't. I don't believe in him. And maybe I eat my words at the end of the season. Maybe I eat my words next season when he's around. But as of right now, when you got players calling the head coach his first name Josh, that tells you everything. When you were a kid, did you call your dad his first name Rich? I know I didn't. I called him Dad, so call him Coach. Let's go to the other reason here why the Raiders lost. Patrick Graham. This is the first time that I thought the Raiders defense played bad, and I'm not afraid to say that. The Raiders defense, I thought, did a good job in the second half against the Chargers. They didn't make the correct adjustments against Arizona. However, I'm going to put more blame on the offense. You held Tennessee to 0 points in the week 3. You only held Broncos 7 points in the second half. But the Kansas City Chiefs are just a different monster. I get that. But Patrick Graham failing to make any adjustments, not bringing blitzes. When the Raiders made the blitzes, they got pressure on Mahomes. Totally different quarterback, totally different game. I don't understand how you're not double-teaming Travis Kelce in the red zone. Yeah, there was a hold on Maxx Crosby like I mentioned earlier. Kelce had 4 touchdowns. You literally have to try to take him out of the game. They failed to do that. They played back. They played soft coverage. They allowed Kelce to catch the ball 3 yards out. And when you're that talented and athletic, bad stuff's going to happen. So, me, this is the worst game I've seen out of Patrick Graham in quite some time. Now, if you guys want to be able to interact with me on social media, I'm at Mitchell Rents literally everywhere. Twitter, Instagram. You're going to get a lot of hot takes this week. You're going to get a lot of crazy stories out there, and I will do my best to keep you guys up to date on all the news going on around the silver and black. Let's go to the next story here around the next overreaction. Josh Jacobs, franchise tag incoming. This one, again, I'm going to give 2 just win babies and say it's a coin flip. I can make an argument, which I'll give you guys here in a sec, of why you should tag him. I can also give you the argument why it's not going to happen. So if you remember, the Raiders declined Jacobs' 5th-year option, and if the Raiders were to franchise tag him next season, it would cost about $12.7 million. This is still a projection because the season has to go on. You still might get some other deals here, but $12.7 in 2023, and it's going to give Jacobs 1 more year in Las Vegas. He was phenomenal this week, and he's been phenomenal the past 2 weeks. He's been great the entire season. 21 carries, 151 yards, and a touchdown. That final drive, I was like, McDaniels isn't going to panic. He's not going to panic. He's going to keep running the ball with Josh. And then for whatever reason, the closer they get to the 50, even if a drive is led by Jacobs, McDaniels' butthole gets about this freaking tight and doesn't know what the hell he's doing out there and freezes up. When you got a running back running the way that Jacobs has done this season, you keep feeding that man, and he looks like somebody who's trying to earn himself a new contract. 91 carries, 490 yards, 3 touchdowns. He is averaging 5.4 yards per carry. I mean, behind this offensive line, which has played better, but that's not that good. That just shows how great Jacobs has been this year. Right now, he's on pace for 1,666 yards, 10 touchdowns, 309 carries. This season as a receiver, he's even done a lot better, especially in the last 3 weeks. Last 3 weeks, he's got 15 grabs, 17 for 129 on the season, which then puts you at 58 receptions, 439 yards at a 17-game pace. As it stands right now, Josh Jacobs is on pace for 2,105 yards and 10 touchdowns. He is a top 5 NFL rushing leader behind only Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb. When you look at the total yards, he is still third behind Chubb and Barkley. He's your entire offense right now. If Davante faces a suspension, you're in trouble. Hunter Renfrow, he almost looks like he has no idea what's going on in this Josh McDaniels offense. So when you have the collision there with Davante, that's bad. Darren Waller's dealing with a hamstring injury. We'll see what happens with him. This was supposed to be one of the best passing offenses in the NFL. When you see places like Vegas projecting Carr to have the chance to lead the NFL in passing yards, they thought so too. Guess what? You're a running team now. You can't rely on your receivers. You can't rely on McDaniels to make the right calls. You got to rely on Josh Jacobs at this point. So you be the GM. You be Dave Ziegler. Should the Raiders franchise tag Josh Jacobs in 2023? Type T for tag, which again means you're about to give him $12.7 million, or you let him walk. Let him walk, and you go a different path, which is probably going to be Zamir White. Here's the reasons why you franchise tag number 28. He's playing like a top 3 running back right now. He is. Yeah, you can say whatever you want. He's playing like a top 3 running back right now, a true bell cow. The Raiders are a running team. The Raiders are going to continue to be a running team, I believe, under McDaniels, because here's the other thing. You can give Jacobs 12.7. I don't know if Derek's going to be around next year, and a quarterback's best friend is a running back. So if you don't keep Derek Carr because you want to save $34 million or $110 over the entirety of his contract, and then your decision is to either, draft a quarterback, you want to have Zamir White's good. He's not Josh Jacobs. I'm saying if your plan is to draft a quarterback, I would say then save that money that you're saving from Derek Carr and then invest that into Jacobs, which is coming from me, somebody who doesn't believe in paying in running backs. But at this point, you're 1-4. You got to figure out an answer. Here's why you don't franchise tag 28. He's had injury issues in the past. It's only week 5. If he can hold up, that's great. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold up for the entire season. Not only did you draft Zamir White, you traded up for him. And if I've learned anything this season, if somebody isn't a McDaniels guy, he carries absolutely no weight on this team. And I get Josh has been amazing, but Jacobs isn't a McDaniels guy, man. So I don't have an answer in terms of whether or not they're going to keep him. All right, y'all, we're going to wrap up today's show. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I know I'm frustrated. I'm sure y'all are too. It's going to be a fun week, though. I am still going to be going live on my YouTube show coming up here in a few hours. If we get more news, we might start a little bit early. But no matter what, we will still be going live later on today on the Raiders Report. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, join Jeremy Chuggs and I, because we're going to try to at least put some smiles on some faces today.